A tourist who was visiting. Wow, just heard a strange noise there, guys. I don't know what that is. Sounded like a knock.
You're not afraid of the dark, are you?
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel on this very wet day here in Wexford. So today I'm in Feathered in County Wexford in St. Mogues, and it's Church of Ireland. But today we're here to find the final resting place and the tomb of Anne Tottenham. And we'll read some old headstones here in the graveyard as well. So I'll tell you the story about Anne Tottenham and the very, very creepy story of her death that was connected to Loftus Hall. So we'll just go down here first and I'll show you the church. It is a creepy old graveyard here, that church. So I hope my lens doesn't get wet with all the rain. So we have this one here, and it has the anchor symbol on it. And this is in love and memory of James M. Thompson, MM of Feathered, who departed this life on November the 4th, 1903, aged 52 years old, and was erected by his wife and children. So the story of Anne Tottenham. We'll get on with the story, guys. A very, very creepy one. So in 1666, Henry Loftus from England owned Loftus Hall and the land surrounding it. His nephew Charles married Anne and had two children, Elizabeth and Anne. Now the story goes, somewhere in the 1700s, a ship docked in the Hook Peninsula in Wexford, and Loftus Hall was nestled right beside the sea. One stormy night, a ship arrived, and a stranger, tall, dark stranger, arrived off the ship to Loftus Hall and banged on the door of the mansion. So the Tottenhams opened the door, their servants, to this tall figured man, and he wanted shelter. So of course they let the man in, gave him shelter, and he stayed there for many weeks. So the story goes that Anne, the daughter, was in the tapestry room one night socialising, playing cards, and this stranger who came off the ship was playing cards at the table. Anne was mesmerised by this tall man She thought she'd never seen a man like him before in her life. Until that night, when they were playing cards at the table. Anne dropped one of her cards, and to her disbelief, when she looked down, instead of seeing the stranger's feet, she saw a pair of hoofs. She let a scream in the tapestry room, and they say the man went up in a ball of fire through the roof at Loftus Hall, never to be seen again. Affected by this, they say that Anne was never right. She fell into mental illness, and the family were ashamed of her, so they locked her in her room. She was curled up in a ball in a fetal position, refused drink, water, and eventually passed away at a young age from her illness. Now, Anne was so stiff when she was found dead. Locals said that she was buried in an unusually shaped coffin in a vaulted tomb. Now, there's two stories to this. That was the first story about the devil visiting Loftus Hall, the strange man. The other story is that this strange man who arrived at Loftus Hall fell in love with Anne. The two were madly in love with each other, and the stranger asked Anne's father for his daughter's hand in marriage, but was refused and banished from the mansion, never to be seen again. So there's a few different stories. We have two stories at least about this famous Anne Tottenham. So I'm just trying to read this one here, and this is just a different grave. It's 1821 that's on this. Very old one. And there's a couple of very old chest tombs here as well in the old graveyard. So it's a very, very spooky story, and it's been doing the rounds for decades around Wexford and also around the world, because Loftus Hall is well known as the most haunted house in Ireland. So that other story I was talking about Anne, the stranger was refused to marry Anne, so she fell into illness. She was distraught that her lover was gone. She didn't get to marry him. But the other side and the twist to the story is that Anne actually fell pregnant with this stranger, and the family didn't want the public known that Anne was pregnant. So this is to the memory of William Tigru. April 1810 he died. So Anne was locked in the room. She fell pregnant. She refused drink, water. Nothing would change her mind about this mysterious man who came knocking on the door that night. So when Anne died, later on in years, they say that when Loftus Hall was restored and was being renovated, they actually came across the skeletal remains of an infant child in the wall of Anne's room where she died. So could this be the child that Anne gave birth to and was hidden in the walls? The family didn't want the public to know. They didn't even want the local doctor to know that Anne was pregnant. They wanted to keep it hush hush for nobody to ever know the circumstances surrounding her pregnancy. But Anne was found in the fetal position. She passed away in 1775. And they say she was buried in a very, very unusual shaped coffin. Almost like a crooked shaped coffin. And the other strange thing about this story is that the tomb itself was broken into in the 1940s. There's actually an article about that. It was broken into by locals in the 1940s who came across this strange shaped coffin. But, of course, was quickly sealed back up and cemented again. So we'll go around and we'll see what other headstones we can see around the area. It is a wet day today. I wasn't sure if I was going to get this video done. It's still raining at the moment, but we'll do our best to get around. And there's some really nice old graves here. And you can just see the ruin of an old castle there in the background as well. So it is a spooky area here in this old church grounds. And this is to the memory of, it looks like Thomas. And the date is gone off that. It looks like an esquire's grave. So we will be going around to visit the final resting place of Anne Tottenham and visit her tomb. So this was erected by Bartholomew Mazaret in the city of Kilkenny to the memory of his daughter Elizabeth Mary, who departed this life on the 28th of September 1841, aged only 4 years old. So a young child buried there in sad circumstances. So I just want to go back down this way, guys, and show you the stone monument down here and read the inscription on it before we make our way around to the creepy crypt of Anne Tottenham. So this is sacred to the remains of Eleanor. And just seeing is her date on this, 19 years old. I can see on it there. So we have a 1787 on this. On Sunday, the 3rd of June, 1787. So that must be the time Sarah Boyce passed away, Sunday, 1787 on that. So the church, I think, is still in use today. People come for prayer services here all the time. And some of the area, as you can see, is cleaned up. So it's spooky to think that that vault was broken into in the 1940s, and people did say that they saw a crooked shaped coffin in there. And could that be the coffin of Anne Tottenham, who died in her room, curled up in that position and buried her in that position. Another stone cross or wooden cross just there. Another headstone just in under the tree there as well. So we'll go over and we'll visit the final resting place of Anne and have a look at this vault. But a very, very spooky story, guys, for sure. And to think back then, you know, and you can make up your own minds on that, whatever you think yourselves. Do you think that the devil himself appeared at Loftus Hall and Anne was so badly affected by this she never recovered and sadly died? Or did she die while giving birth to the stranger's child that was found in the walls of the mansion? You can make your minds up on that. Let me know in the comments below. Another really large headstone here as well, 1862 on this one. So just behind this headstone, guys, right over here, is the final resting place, reputed to be the burial place of Anne Tottenham from Loftus Hall. The woman who was scared to death by the devil himself. And this is her vault. It is extremely overgrown, as you can see here. Now, if I can get down a little bit further, I'll try and show you. If you look in there, you can actually see the entranceway to the vault was actually cemented up, and it does look like it wasn't done back then when she passed away, but it does look like very fresh looking if you look at the vault. And I'll try and zoom in a bit and show you. So if you just look around the top of the vault there, you can see where the fresh cement and the entranceway to the vault had to be blocked up. So that story of the vault being broken into in the 1940s could be, well, the truth, that it was broken into, and those people did see the crooked shaped coffin of Anne Tottenham, and we can just see the top of the vault there of Anne's final resting place. Now in 2014, I believe, a tourist who was visiting Tottenham, wow, just heard a strange noise there, guys. I don't know what that is. Sounded like a knock. I'm going to have to go back in the video and listen to that. It did sound like a knock there, like two knocks. But in 2014, a tourist visiting Loftus Hall, because they used to do haunted tours there all year round, mostly Halloween time, it would be the time of year for it. But they done tours there. Like a young guy, 22 years of age, took a photograph outside Loftus Hall and picked up a ghost figure of an older woman and a younger woman. Now people say that that was Anne Tottenham and her mother that was caught in the picture, and I'll put the picture over the video and you can have a look yourselves. But very, very strange story. And Not a lot is said about this story. It's kind of been kept hush hush, and the vault here is kind of overgrown as well. But what do you think, guys? Do you think that Anne Tottenham from Loftus Hall, who had a visit by the devil, is she buried in there in a crooked coffin? Now those people that broke in the 1940s, they're the only people who know the answer to that. But just imagine looking into that tomb and seeing the crooked coffin, a lead coffin, I'd imagine, that holds the body of the young Anne Tottenham. Is she at rest? Does her spirit still wander this cemetery? Does she wander Loftus Hall still, looking for her stranger who she fell in love with but never married? Who knows, guys? Who knows? But it's a very, very spooky one. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this story. So if you like this story, guys, and the video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And comment below if you're new to the channel. Let me know where you're from, what you thought of the story. Do you believe the story of Anne Tottenham? She's entombed in there in a crooked shaped coffin. Was she visited by the devil, Satan himself? I'll leave that up to you. But for now, I'm going to leave you on this eve of Halloween. So until the next time, happy Halloween and stay safe.
Thank you.